One, an adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, and the Star Ledger, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the municipal website. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic,
one nation,
under God,
for which it stands,
just for all.
Or you'll do roll call.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
progress,
Member Morandi is excused. Councilmember Sturtevant.
present,
Councilmember Trigiano. She is excused. Councilmember Ballard
Here.
and Councilmember Ziprich.
here,
We have quorum.
Right. I think first up is we have some awards, right? There's going to be a presentation of the winners of the annual home decorating contest. I just gotta say, South Street killing it, right? You 2 out of 3 on South Street. Yeah, Oscar, you want to wait for?
yeah, you know, wait.
All right, we can wait. We can, we'll just circle right back around to that in a minute. Guess we're going on public comments, right?
Mhm.
All right, so right now we are going to, open the floor up for public comments on agenda items only. So public comments on agenda items only. I know the clerk also received some emails to be read into the record for residents who are unable to attend. But I saw Nancy's hand up, first.
No, I'm not going to read a litany, but hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Nancy Blackwood, reside at 34 Chestnut Street. The reason why I am seeking public comment is that in the December issue of the Scuttlebutt, there was a comment from the committee that the plastic film collection project has concluded. Thank you for those residents who have participated. And it doesn't say what the next steps are. It just says that it has concluded. And that created a lot of confusion in late December, early January as to whether or not the program would be continuing. And I guess this is why it's going to be on the agenda tonight for council to discuss whether or not to continue the program. This program is in effect in Matawan, Bradley Beach, and Red Bank, and a couple other places out of state. The trial programs ended at both Bradley Beach and Matawan, and they've decided to continue. Last year, Red Bank set aside 4,300 pounds of plastic film for recycling, and that's 4,300 pounds that didn't go into landfills. At the point in October 2021, there were estimated 500 households signed to the program. And I say I know this because as a member of the EC, we did help with the signups for the program, and then we handed off the data and the forms over to DPW. I do know that more people have signed up to the program to the point where initially the DPW was collecting only from specific addresses, but they had so many people, they just go through all the streets of Red Bank. The process for doing this is the first Wednesday of the month. It's what I understand. It takes about one person 6 hours of work in a day to do this. But basically, what happens to the film? Every other month, the film is collected and it's sent to Mazza Recycling Center, where it's combined with other plastic film recycling from the Manhattan, Matawan, and Bradley Beach. And it sits awaiting a buyer, similar to what happens when you have scrap metal, glass, etc. These recycling programs, they sit until they find a buyer. That's the nature of the business. The program has proven to be successful in Red Bank. I'm just here to really voice our support. What it has done, which was very effective in our community, is that it did raise awareness about the volume of plastic that is in our lives. And a lot of people became very aware of even your jar of vitamins, and you take that off, that little strip of plastic, that is recyclable. It is recyclable. What happens to that plastic film? It goes to a buyer. The buyer turns it into pellets. Those pellets turn into things like decking, flooring, plastic, what do you call it? Trex, like, yeah, decking like Trex and other things. What we did by having this curbside program is that it made it easy for residents to recycle their film, which made it convenient, made people aware. And until we address the source of plastic film, which is endemic through all of our lives with plastic, we have to make do with recycling. It's a startup program and it's picking up all over the nation. And Red Bank is usually, we tend to be a town that is very progressive and for things that are environmental or that benefit people in general. So I was very proud to be a part of that program. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Nancy, can I ask you a quick question about this program? If you don't mind.
Yeah, just get close to the mic so I can.
Thank you for that information. But you mentioned that it's trucked down to Mazer Recycling and then awaits a buyer.
Yes,
So how much did Red Bank make after collecting this plastic film?
I don't have that data.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to know that.
Right. Yeah, I don't have that data. Sorry.
And the DPW workers collected, not Mazer Recycling.
Correct. It is collected by one DPW 6 hours in the month.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bob?
Good evening, everybody. Bob Zuckerman, Executive Director, Red Bank River Center. I'm here primarily just to speak on introduction 2023-01. It's the first bill of the year, first ordinance of the year. And just to essentially say thank you to all of the council members and the mayor for adjusting the 15-minute parking spots that I guess there was something wrong in the ordinance. It wasn't written properly last time, but making that adjustment for both the north and south sides of White Street, as well as including that 15-minute spot in front of Starbucks, Chocolate Works right around there. I have to say that I walked on White Street today and actually saw what everyone has been complaining about. I saw a van parked on the north side facing east, facing the wrong way. So that van got there either by making an illegal K-turn on White Street from coming in from Broad, or crossing the line on White Street coming from the west to park illegally. And I've been hearing lots of things, lots of stories about vehicles parking. So we do need the spots on both the north side and the south side. So I hope that ordinance is passed tonight. And I'd just like to reiterate that we love working with all of you and want to anything that affects the downtown. We want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of the input and hopefully decision making on that. While I'm here, I just wanted to say a couple other quick things. We are moving tomorrow. We've been at 140 Broad Street for almost 5 years, but as I think all of you know, that building was sold and is being gut renovated. So we have to vacate, and we're moving tomorrow back to where we used to be, except on the ground floor. We're going back to English Plaza. It's actually 46 English Plaza, Suite 6B. The phone numbers will be the same, the email addresses will be the same, the website will be the same, so all that will be the same. But we hope that starting next week, people come and visit us there. We're gonna have new banners. There's a pole right in front that's gonna direct folks there, and hopefully we'll get a couple blade signs as well on that building so that people know that we're there, because it's kind of a little hidden. The office, but at least we're on the ground floor this time. Previously, my understanding is we were on the second floor, so that's better for folks of other abilities. And then just lastly, I just want to say I look forward to coming back very soon to present our plan for the Broadwalk for 2023 and what we're looking to do. I know it's hard to imagine outdoor dining on a night like tonight where it's kind of chilly, but it'll be here before we know it. So I look forward to coming to all of you to present our plan. So thanks. All right.
Bob,
I saw, Sue, I saw your hand pop up.
Suzanne Viscomi, 25 Cedar Street. I was just curious at 2318, we spoke last night at the Animal Welfare Committee. TJ, who owns Fins and Feathers, is a great asset to our group, and he was put in as an alternative. We do have an open seat for a 3rd-year term. I was wondering if we could make the adjustment to give him the honorable seat.
Yes, I think it's on the, yes, there was,
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Laura, wasn't that, I thought we had, it was an email you had forwarded, Michael had made that
Yes.
suggestion as well, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if it wasn't on there, but it will be taken care of tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stevie.
Stephen Hack, 135 Branch Avenue. I have a question about a resolution that is unnumbered. It's the last resolution listed on the agenda. It's listed under executive session. And my question is whether this enumerates the reasons why a council would go into executive session. Is this a new resolution, or is there a previously existing resolution that enumerates these factors in Red Bank?
Steve, if I may,
Please.
the reason that we don't put a number next to those, in the event that it's not called, I don't have to worry about eliminating a resolution. If there's resolutions that need to be put in prior to that, maybe a motion from the floor, then we can number it. Generally, the executive session is usually the last one, so we'll number at the time if it needs to be enacted.
Okay, I appreciate that. Given that fact, is my question then out of order? I'm asking about the enumerated reasons for excluding the public. And my question is there a preceding resolution, or is this a new resolution for Red Bank?
Can I mention this? Right, but I can mention that it's deals with. I just wanted to verify that I'm allowed to speak about this. It's a personnel matter, so we probably will not be going to executive session, and we'll be introducing some resolutions later on in the meeting. But since it's a personnel matter, if there was anything that had to be discussed, it would then go into executive session because that's not public information.
I apologize for not being clear in my question. May I take another moment to try to clarify my question? I understand very well what the reasons are for this body or any similar body going into executive session. My question is about the written enumeration of the various reasons that the public can be excluded. The preface here indicates that these are this gives authority to the public body to exclude the public from meetings. My question is this document 9 enumerated reasons for excluding the public? Is this a new document, or is there a previous document and this is an update for the year 2023?
So, with your permission, Mayor, I'm going to try and do my best to answer your question because I'm still not quite understanding it. The resolution that you have before you enumerates the various reasons for which we can go into executive session.
Understood.
So obviously personnel is listed as one of the enumerated items, contract negotiations, and the rest. But when we do go into executive session, we do have to state on the record
Right.
the basis for which we are going into executive session, and also a brief identifying description as to the subject of the reason why we're going into executive session. So contract negotiations, we just can't say contract negotiations, but if, for example, contract negotiations with, collective bargaining agreement with the police department, we would enumerate that, and then, and the reason for that would then be stated. So I'm not sure if that's answering your question.
It is not, sir.
Right.
Um,
I know.
I want to know if this document exists before it is passed as a new resolution.
Right.
Is there something like this that exists in our statutes, codes, whatever?
Oh, I see what you mean. I don't believe so, sir, but is this,
No, this is something that's, that the state tells us what can be exempt and what allows us to go into executive session. So this is just a boilerplate resolution.
I'm coming to meetings for almost 20 years, and I've never seen a resolution that looks like.
and I've been coming to meetings just for a few months and I haven't seen it either, but now I understand your question.
So, can someone answer it?
Yeah, so I believe it's something new. However, when we adopt a resolution to go into executive session, not every resolution has to be in writing. But as the clerk pointed out, this is encouraged. Again, every town goes into executive session a different way. We still have to make a motion on the record. It still has to be approved. We still have to set the basis as to why we're going in and a brief description. This is really a practice, I think, upgrade, if you will. So then there's an actually written resolution that sets that forth. But again, not every resolution has to be in writing. So I think this is new because I haven't seen it before and I've only been here for a few months.
Thank you for answering my question.
Sorry about that.
Do I have any remaining time of my 5 minutes?
Sure.
One other question then. With respect to the planning board, I believe there was last time during the reorganization, there was a question about whether a member 3, whether there was or was not a vacancy. Has that question been resolved?
If I'm not mistaken, the class 3 was one that's the planning board. Dan,
Yeah,
the planning board makes that appointment?
The class 3 was a council appointment. That was the issue. It dealt with another, and was the planning board dealing with the alternate and whether or not there was a vacancy that caused a couple people to move up.
Is there a vacancy or is there not a vacancy?
I don't think I don't think we kind of concluded that as of yet.
It's a vacancy. No appointment has been made.
Okay.
It is a vacancy and the appointment is made by the mayor. Thank you very much.
And that's the one, during reorg, that you said it was the council appointment, so we took it off the agenda for reorg.
It's a council appointment. That's.
No?
Council. That was the other council.
What was the other one?
No, I think the dispute was whether it was filled or not. That's correct. Filled, then it had to be your appointment, correct? But if it wasn't, it was with council consent. Am I correct? Or was it vice versa?
I'll check my notes while the meeting's ongoing, but I believe it was a situation where people were moving up, if you will. And the question was whether the first person to move up, whether or not there was a vacancy there. It was like a domino effect. So I will speak to the clerk and obviously make sure we're still looking into it and we'll get that clarified. The class 3 appointment is the only appointment that is a council appointment. The rest are the mayors.
Okay, anybody else? I know,
Mayor, I'm sorry, there's one person online.
Okay.
Who,
Yeah.
I just noticed. Boris, you have the floor if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Boris Kaufman, 28 Riverside Avenue. I have questions on the section titled Discussion and Action. The first one says EV ordinance. Can you elaborate a little bit since it's kind of hard to make comments without knowing what the discussion will be about? Or rather, is there going to be an action on that item?
Mayor, okay to answer that?
Yeah.
So Boris, that's a discussion on an EV ordinance. I would imagine you might be aware the governor's office put out a model ordinance for municipalities to adopt if they decide to regarding the implementation of EV charging stations, where they can be put in, what the ratio is to regular parking spaces, so there can be a reduction if in the zoning laws essentially of parking requirements if some of those parking spaces are EV equipped or equipped for future EV use. So the reason it's on for discussion and not introduction is that there are some options that the council has that the attorney believed, I think, that there should be some discussion before we draft the ordinance to make sure it fits what the will of the council is. But it's essentially based off of the model ordinance that the governor's office put out recently.
Okay. The third item, it says decision, early voting option for municipal elections. So there will be a decision made tonight?
It'll be a discussion. I don't know if there'll be any decision made. That's up to, the council at the end of that discussion.
All right, well, since it's not, okay, then I'll make my comments since there may be a decision made. Just that I strongly would support early voting option for our municipal election. And the rest of my comment is on the plastic film recycling program. So I also strongly support the program. Nancy enumerated all the reasons why it's good for Red Bank, why it's good for the environment. So I'm not going to repeat those. But what I do urge you to do is not only to continue it, but also to expand it so that it's accessible not only to the residents of standalone houses, but also residents of apartment buildings. As you know, many senior citizens live in apartment buildings, and right now they have no access to this program. So bottom line is, let's move forward, not backward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Come up here. Good evening. My name is Mike Beeson. I live in Ocean Township, but I helped implement the program here in Red Bank on the plastic film. Thank you, Boris, and everybody else. I just want to let you know, SC Johnson Supports Program wants to help as much as possible. I hope you renew it. It's been successful, and you really have been a source of other towns who are interested in doing such a program. It's, I believe almost over 4,000 pounds of plastic film has not gone to the landfill since the program started. And we're here to answer any questions you might have during your discussion and be as helpful as we can. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Hey, Mike, thank you. So what's SC Johnson's role in this?
So SC Johnson is doing this nationally, trying to help municipalities develop pilot programs so we can get plastic film out of the landfills and part of the recycling process. So we're working with communities in Georgia, all over the country, to try to develop programs where people can have their plastic film picked up. Every town, every state is different how it works, but you guys at Red Bank have really been a model for other communities to look at. As a matter of fact, I think you all saw the national CBS story on it. The recycling market changes every day. And I've been told more and more from Mazza Recycling that there's more of a need for it as oil prices fluctuate. The plastic film that you have here will certainly be turned into pelletized plastic, which can be used for durable goods, may go to Trex. The market's always changing, but you've really been a forefront on this, and I hope it continues, and we just want to be a resource.
So is SC Johnson buying the film?
No, SC Johnson doesn't buy, well, in some places they might buy the recycled pelletized, but generally the SC Johnson is working with Mazza and other recyclers to find end markets, but they're not buying it from Mazza, no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Sue, and then
Sorry, Mayor, I didn't realize we were also going to bring up discussions and actions. I wanted to have a comment on the number 3. Because this is going to be a whole new process this year and timing in May. And I know everyone talks about transparency. I just have a suggestion. I know we do town mailers, like we have the scuttlebutt, but it might even be possible to have a separate mailer and informational to give into all the residents. They are registered to vote because this is out of the normal time frame. Also listing, is the locations, the typical locations going to be open? How the slate works. Are you allowed to cross vote on a slate? I think this is going to be new, maybe a template on how the ballot works. You know, obviously a lot of people aren't here right now and know all the in and out of this new process. Also maybe the time frame, how anybody that's interested in running, what's the time frame to get the petition, and where do you get the petition, and what does it do, and the requirements for the petition. There is definitely a lot of open-ended questions, but I think simply just to backtrack a minute, I think an opportunity would be just a simple postcard to residents. Hey, this is new. Voting in May, you can cross slates, you can, this is what positions are open, maybe the terms, or hey, FYI, don't forget to register. I'm assuming you have a date that you have, if you're not registered, when you have to register to vote in the May election. I think there's so many possibly misconceptions out there and unknowns to even the people that have run in the past, that getting information out to the people would encourage more people to vote in May, because I don't think we haven't had May elections. I think the school board ended it maybe like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's not, no one's accustomed of doing it. And obviously we want more people out to get their votes to impact this town. So that's my comment.
I agree 100%. I think that's a great idea. We want as many people voting as possible. And I'll just state again for the record. If I'm sitting up here again after that election, I'd like to have the council vote as soon as possible to move the elections to November. This is all about getting more people involved. So thank you, Sue. Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name's Alan Hill, 64 McLaren Street, and I'm just referring to the governor on the 12th of December dispensed a $24 million grant for improvements to access to transit, and in fact awarded Red Bank just under $250,000 to that end. And I just wondered, is there somewhere on the agenda that's going to discuss this? If there's not, is there somebody who can report what is being done with that $250,000? And really, at what point, whatever plans there were approved by the council or by the people at a meeting like this.
So there was a resolution passed, I believe, in December accepting the grant, and typically there's one passed when we apply for the grant. That depends on the parameters of the grant. In this case, I can tell you the 2 intersections, it hasn't been designed fully. We don't design it until after the grant is awarded, because if we don't get the grant, there's no sense in designing the work. But it's mostly pedestrian bicycle improvements to the area of Chestnut Street and Bridge Avenue, and Dr. James Parker and Bridge Avenue, those 2 intersections. But specifically what amenities will be there, we've only discussed that. We haven't designed it. I know one discussion was regarding flashing beacons at one intersection for pedestrians. But there's a number of items that were included in the concept where it hasn't been designed yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ben Parr, 16 Locust Avenue. I just want to support the film program. Most of the reasons have already been articulated, but I was astounded by how much plastic film we have in our house. And I thought the program was very successful, and thank you for pioneering that in Red Bank. both on an educational level, but it did reduce the amount of garbage we have going in the trash. I don't know if we pay by the ton or not for solid waste, but I guess there might be a positive. It would be less waste going to landfill financially. But thank you for doing it.
Let me guess what you want to talk about.
Big surprise. Hi, Christina Bonatakis, 122 Riverside Avenue. I'm pretty much echoing what Ben just said to you. I'm 100% in support of the continuation of the plastic film recycling. I also was astonished by how much I put out in terms of the plastic film, and I consider myself pretty conscious about it. It definitely didn't encourage me to use more, but it did feel good to know that it might have a reuse. So I think it's a program, and I do hope you'll continue it.
Or you want to go ahead and read out those emails that you, or you want to?
Yeah, that's.
All right.
I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name. The first email I have is from Georgina Shanley and Stephen Fenical at 115 Harding Road. Dear Mayor and City Council, as residents of Red Bank, our household is very proud to participate in the monthly plastic film collection program. I see it as our hometown's contribution to protecting our planet from the abhorrent and irresponsible dumping of plastic. We believe the city's program is a win-win situation with negligible downside. Plastic bags are made of polyurethane, polyethylene, which is derived from non-renewable sources such as natural gas and crude oil derivatives. We are thus perpetuating the production of these highly damaging processes, which means that the more plastic bags are manufactured, the more non-renewable fossil fuels will be consumed. As it stands, when we get rid of plastic bags, including those collected at supermarkets, there is no accountability and no penalty for discarding them. They go directly into the soil where it takes at least 300 years for them to biodegrade. Even while degrading, tiny toxic particles are released and end up in the soil, waterways, and air. We also see our oceans are highly polluted with plastics, and this endangers marine life and their ecosystems. If we continue our collection policy just once a month at the cost of 6 man-hours of work, the returns far outweigh the cost. Companies are able to convert this recycled waste into useful items that otherwise would come from primary plastic. Some examples include decking, pellets for packaging, and there's even research using this plastic as carbon nanotube membranes. Please don't disband this program. It is a credit to our elected representatives and administration and a prime example for other communities. The next email is from Kathleen Horgan, 146 Branch Avenue. I believe that the plastic film program is a benefit not only to the environment, but also to the Red Bank residents. It's a popular program and should be continued. I'm 100% for it. The next email is from Robert Morrow and Stephanie Morrow of 210 Broad Street. Dear Red Bank Council members, please continue the plastic film recycling program. I have been amazed at how much plastic film my family brings into the house, and very little of it is single-use shopping bags. With the borough banning those ubiquitous flimsy grocery bags, this program eliminates a substantial amount of plastic going into landfills where it won't break down for a long, long time. Plastic is a major curse on modern life that needs to be addressed. And what a program like this does is demonstrate to the plastic industry how many ordinary people are willing to make the effort to recycle plastic waste. Maybe it's time for the industry to take responsibility for its waste and find ways of taking the material back and recycling it themselves. Next up is Christina Bruno, 5 Elm Place. I recently heard the borough is considering ending the plastic film recycling program, so I'm writing to share my support for the program as Red Bank residents. As relatively new residents of Red Bank, my husband and I were excited to hear of the program and immediately took advantage of it. We are already collecting plastic bags as well as number 5 plastics and styrofoam to take to stores and other locations that recycle them. With concern for our environment and the large quantity of waste that ends up in landfills each year, this feels like the least we can do as the average citizens. We have consistently used the borough program over the past year with a full bucket of plastic film each month. The convenience of the borough's program not only makes our lives a bit easier, it encourages us to recycle new items we didn't realize were recyclable, and also makes us proud to live in a community that prioritizes these efforts. We've seen this pride materialize in our son's interest in the benefits and science behind recycling too. We hope Red Bank will continue to offer this program and encourage residents and to take advantage. It's a benefit to our community and future generations. Paul Rodriguez Heyman, 30 Marion Street. I would like to express my desire for the plastic film recycling program to continue in Red Bank. The program has successfully diverted more than 4,000 pounds of stretched plastic from our landfills, derived from more than 500 households across town. The cost to the borough is minimal at an estimated 6 labor hours per month. The amount of plastic that makes its way into the environment is reprehensible. Red Bank took the lead on the single-use plastic bag ban and should continue to lead by example by way of continuing the plastic film recycling program. Jennifer Thomas, 24 Pickney Road. Please continue plastic film recycling in Red Bank and include multifamily complexes. Stephen Sickles, 36 Broad Street. I'd like to vote in favor of continuing the plastic film recycling program. From all I've read, it seems like a very successful program. Kathy and Richard Hall, 19 Elm Place. Here's another vote for restoring plastic film recycling program. I've seen a gradual increase in the number of folks who participated in this, even though it got very little publicity during the pilot program. Please restore it. Is Pat Pinto. Uh, 71 Linden Place. As a local environmentalist and former member of the chair of the Environment Commission, I wholeheartedly endorse the continuation of this program. I don't understand why a council promoting environmental issues would want to discontinue a worthwhile program like this. Danelle Goddick, 28 Elm Place. Good morning. I'm unable to attend the council meeting, but I would like the following to be included in the public comment. As a resident of Red Bank, I would like the plastic film recycling program to continue. 6 hours a month of labor is a small price for residents to pay. Red Bank should continue to look for innovative solutions for environmental issues and take part in them wholeheartedly. There is a communication here from Hope Davis at 11 Locust Ave, but I think part of her message is missing. It just says, I Hope Davis gave permission to read my comment on plastic film at the Red Bank Council meeting, January 11th, 2023. Plastic film comment, Erica Andrex, 18 West Side Ave. Please continue the plastic film recycling program. Our town is keeping thousands of pounds per year of a recyclable material out of landfills. This has a positive environmental impact and is a cause my family and I are proud to support and would like to see the use of tax revenue towards. It is an investment in creating a better future and helps create infrastructure focused on better environmental practices. Debbie Marks, 19 Morford Place. I am writing in support of the plastic film recycling program. I have been utilizing this program for the last 6 months, and I am amazed at how much I am able to collect as a one-person household. I commend the EC and Public Works for starting this program and would be very disappointed for the program to end. Emily Hertler, 151 Harding Road. Hello, I recently learned about the plastic film recycling pilot and now the program has ended, but it is up for discussion tonight. If this program is financially feasible, I would like for it to continue on a long-term basis, and I would like to receive a container so that our household could participate. I'm sorry I missed the first round. Anna Cruz, 19 Morford Place. I am in support of the plastic program and was relieved when Red Bank started the program. Please know that I am in favor of continuing the program in the borough. It's imperative that programs like this stay in place to help future generations.
So, Mayor, I have a question because this is very unusual. I can't recall a council meeting where we went through so many letters from residents. I'm all for letters from residents, but we don't normally read all our correspondence at the council meeting. So is this something new? We're gonna, at every email that a council person gets, we're gonna start reading them at a meeting? Because we could never get to a meeting if that's gonna be the case.
I was under the impression that these were specifically requested for people that could not attend the meeting, but they wanted to voice their support for the program. I think that would be different from just a regular correspondence. Well, let me ask you, have you ever
I could ask Dan, he's been here the longest. Have they ever read emails from residents before? I don't know if anyone has anyone ever, Darren, have they ever done that practice?
I don't recall it, but I'm not, I couldn't
Right.
swear to it, but I don't recall.
Right.
Yeah, this is unusual.
I don't recall it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's, normally we get correspondence from constituents, and it's addressed to the mayor and council or individual council members. But I've never been at a meeting where the clerk read all of the incoming correspondence at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because we have a ton on the short-term rental ordinance that, we're still going back and forth. And I hope we're not gonna read all of those at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Mayor, we have one more resident at home who has their hand raised.
Okay.
Frank Corrado, you can unmute, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Frank Corrado, 73 Linden Place. I want to echo my support for the plastic recycling program. There was a lot of very good comments made, including the ones that were made by email, because I think that voice and that support still deserves to be heard if they are unable to attend this. So, and I read about the ending of this program just through this committee report that came out, and have to say a little disappointing too. As I sit here talking to you from home, I'm holding my 5-month-old son, and this is a program that is, beyond just dollars and cents here. This is for the long term. This is an investment, and so as a taxpayer of this town, I want to see this program continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's good. I think we can conclude public comment. Okay, let's jump back up to the award winners of the holiday annual home decorating contest. They were very patient. Oscar, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening. How's everyone?
Going, Oscar.
Happy New Year is going to be great. So the Redmond Parks and Recreation does the annual holiday decorating contest. This year, our 3 winners were selected by our Redmond Middle School Student Council. With the help of our mayor and chairperson, Councilman John Jackson, I would like to present the awards to first. Sorry, I'm gonna just stand. You guys can come up. First, we have 32 South Street Cohen family.
You to watch the kids.
There's the Cohen family house.
Would like to see those pictures of the winners. They're on our social media, and I believe
Yeah.
look over here, please.
Your house will be filled with beautiful everywhere. Thank you. Love that blue.
Up next, we have 330 Woodbury Avenue, Ramirez family. The third winner is not here tonight, they couldn't make it. It's 16 South Street Caroline family. We'll say the fast. And those are our 3 winners. We have a total of 25 houses to judge for the holidays in December of 2022. Again, the Redmond Middle School Student Council were very helpful as helping us judge. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Nice job, Oscar. All right, we have to just take care of some business. We're going to be approving approval of minutes and reports. We're going to go through these individually. So we're going to start with September 14th, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve? Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is the September 14th, 2022 regular minutes. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You can just slow down. Good.
Nope, you're good.
All right, and finally, September 14th, 2022 executive session. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
And again, approval of the department reports. Public utilities, police, engineering, finance, grants, animal control, tax assessor, tax collector, land use, planning and zoning, parks and rec, fire marshal, emergency management, fire department, senior center, building and construction. And I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
And Mayor, just for the record, I'm sure Councilman Jackson will have abstained on all of those since he wasn't in office.
Yes, I think Laura had that conversation with me right before we voted. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
No discussion on that? Or no discussion?
All right, okay, ordinance 2023-01, amending and supplementing chapter 680-38, time limit parking. Can I have a motion to approve?
Hold on.
Mayor, there's a typographical error on it that Councilwoman Morandi pointed out to me that it just should say 22 feet on the south side and 42 feet on the north. So it's only for introduction, so we can amend it before we post it to the website and advertise it. And then when it's adopted, it'll read correctly.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Sure. So there was an error. I copy and pasted and made an error in it, and it's 42 feet on one side of the street and 22 on the other. It doesn't reflect that way. Councilwoman Morandi pointed it out to me when she reviewed the ordinance. So
that minor change won't require a reintroduction.
correct.
Because it's de minimis.
That's correct. This ordinance is just on first reading only, which is being read by title only. We just wanted to make mayor and council aware of that change as well as the public. When the clerk publishes the ordinance after adoption, it will reflect that change.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarification, I know everybody knows this on council, but this is a correction actually to the ordinance that was passed in December where one side of the street was just left out by an error. So.
okay. I have a motion to approve. Sorry, to be, motion to be introduced, right? So I have a second.
Second.
We're going to do a roll call vote. Yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Morandi and Trigiano are excused. Councilmember Sturtevant,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard,
Yes.
and Councilmember Zipperich.
Yes.
Passes on introduction too.
Okay.
We don't have a public hearing or nothing.
One thing we did was announcement next meeting. The date of that next week.
So this will be heard again for public hearing on January.
Thank you, Michael. This ordinance is going to be heard again for the public on January 25th. Right, all right, thank you. Next, resolutions, can we do all these on consent, or do we need to go through them one by one, or?
They can be done on consent, but I spoke with Councilman Ballard. Wants to table.
Okay,
Councilman?
which one is that one?
Yeah, Mayor, I would just like to table 23-17, the appointment of professionals. I don't think we're ready to actually move on that. There's some concerns about the resolution itself.
Okay,
Okay, there are positions, just so everyone's clear, there are positions in that resolution that we've never adopted before, so I'd like to table that.
I'll second that motion.
okay, all in favor? Okay, we will table 23-17 for now, okay, and then so removing 23-17, can we go ahead and vote on the other resolutions as one?
So we usually list them by number, Mayor.
Okay.
Like
I don't know, the
bracket.
title's just the number?
Yeah, 23-16 through and including
Right.
20, with the exception of the one that we
Okay.
listed.
So we're gonna be voting on resolutions 23-16 through 23-26. We are removing 23-17 from that list. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Lawrence, roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
Motion to add.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturdivant,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard,
Yes.
Councilmember Ziprich,
Yes.
and Council members Morandi and Trigiano are excused. Passes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I like to have a motion to add resolution 23-27 to the agenda, appointing members to the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
That's for any discussion. Do we want to have any discussion on this? And I'll read it out to you so everyone knows what we're doing. We're introducing a motion where we're appointing new volunteer firefighters to the Red Bank Fire Department. I might as well just read it at this point. Whereas the Red Bank Borough Council wish to appoint the following volunteer firefighters to the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department. Whereas Wayne Hartman, Fire Chief, unconditionally recommends the appointments, therefore be it therefore resolved that the following individuals are hereby appointed to the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department, Brianna Calabrese and Lucas Fingal.
So now it's added, sir. We're gonna see if there's a motion to
Okay,
approve.
thank you. Right, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
So that's just all in favor?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is just. Right, the title, okay. I'd like a motion to add the following resolution to the agenda, 23-28, a resolution authorizing the separation agreement with Director of Public Utilities Clifford Keene. Do we have any, well, that's, a motion to add to the agenda.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any discussion?
Well, now ask for a motion to approve.
First, a motion to approve. All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Now, do we have any discussion?
All in favor?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Like to make a motion to add resolution number 23-29 to the agenda, a resolution authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for Director of Public Services Consulting.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve resolution number 23-29.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Okay, right, so we're down here, discussion and action.
Mhm.
All right, we are going to move to discussion and action on a couple of items. First one is the EV ordinance. This was already discussed in public comment. We'll go. Right, okay, so it's basically what's the council, so. We're just opening up for. Okay, that's right, but I mean, I'm just opening it. So for.
This was brought to our attention by Councilman Ziplick.
Okay, take it off. Yeah, Darren just told me that this was brought to our attention by Councilman Ziprich, so Ed, would you like to start the discussion? On the EV?
Sure, thanks, Mayor. As was mentioned earlier in tonight's conversation, electric vehicle charging stations are the wave of the future and happening now. The Department of Environmental Protection and the Governor's Office have put forward a model EV ordinance for us to adopt. I would like to refer this back to the DPU committee so that we can flush out the particulars before we adopt it as to where we may permit electric charging stations to be installed and look at what will be changing America in the next 10 to 20 years as more and more electric vehicles hit the road.
Okay, anyone else have any? Yeah.
Yeah, and excuse me, Mayor, real quickly as well, I will provide to the committee, Department of Community Affairs has put out a summary, if you will, of the model ordinance that will help guide the committee in making recommendations back to council for the ordinance.
And can we make that public? Can we?
Oh, yeah, it's out.
I mean, it's out now. Maybe we can put a link on the website too, just make it easier for people to
Absolutely.
access it. Okay, and so basically, we're going to be sending that to committee for hashing out the details.
Correct.
Okay. I personally would like.
Vote on it? Send it to committee or?
Do we need to?
No.
Okay. I have an electric car, so I'm all in favor of this. Okay. So next is the some discussion on the plastic film recycling program. We heard from a lot of people about it. I'm a participant of it. I think it's a great program. I'd like to see it expanded. I'd like to see us start composting. I mean, I think we should be at the forefront of environmental issues like this. So I'm in favor certainly of continuing this program. I don't see any drawbacks to it.
So Mayor, I wanted this on for discussion only because as you heard tonight, there was a lot of public inquiry about it and I didn't want to unilateral, although it had a sunset on it built into it when it was kicked off as a pilot. That sunset passed some time ago. We didn't exactly, when we kicked it off, we didn't exactly start the very next month actually collecting. So the sunset happened probably in November, maybe December. But there was so much public inquiry that I felt it shouldn't be a decision that I unilaterally made or made with the DPW director. It seemed like a policy decision that the council should.
Can't hear you very well.
Can't hear you at all.
Okay, seemed like a policy decision that the council should make, not that I should make as the administrator or department head should make.
Still can't hear you.
I've-
Put your face in front of
Gotta get right up on that thing there. You gotta do it like that.
Darren, if I may, I'd also make a motion to refer that back to the Department of Public Utilities Committee?
And I'd like to second that because I'm new to the DPW committee, so I'm not as well versed as some other members may be on the program. It sounds like it's a very good program. I'd just like to know more before I make a decision. So I agree with committee reviewing it.
Yeah, but just while we are, well, actually, is there if question for you, if we, there was a motion on the floor to send this back to the DPU committee. If we pass that motion, can we continue discussion here on it? Because I just want to hear from if Councilwoman Sturtevant, Councilman Jackson have an opinion on the program as well. I'd just like to know where everybody stands on it. Yeah, I mean, do we have to, but there's already a motion on the floor. Do we have to? I just want to know what the order is.
There's a motion.
Okay, we're at a discussion anyway, okay. Well, I guess we have to go ahead and vote on, oh, no, we don't have to. You said you didn't have to send it to committee.
Right.
We don't have to vote on it, right? We just did that.
Right.
John, I just wanted to get your opinion on the program as well.
Sure. Actually, I'm also a participant in the program myself. I think recycling and the film recycling program is a success that exists as part of an entire whole, recycling overall. It is good practice. And if I can just correct Mr. Corrado's words, it may not be about dollars, but it is about sense, and it is good sense to keep up the practice of recycling. As a member of the DPW committee, I will work, behind the scenes with the committee to see if we can keep this program alive.
Well played there, John. Jack,
You get with an advertising.
do you have any thoughts on it, on the program, Jacqueline?
I definitely, support the activity of it. I personally, I would like to just have a better understanding of the financial impact of it, like what it's gonna cost to the borough. And again, it's more of a due diligence question that I would just like to have in hand before moving forward with the next session of it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything to add to that? No?
Mayor, if I may, just to reduce confusion among the public and among our staff the committee might not meet for another week or two, and I don't know exactly, it could or could not go past the next pickup date. So there's the issue of whether we want to continue the pickup until a decision is actually made, or if we want to curtail it for a month, that's whatever you'd like.
Right. So, and because the program sunsetted, will we have to go ahead and vote on whether to continue it or?
It's my understanding that it already
went past the sunset date at some point. I became aware of it 2 days before the last pickup date that the sunset had passed. But we continued it. It's a no fee contract. We're not paying anybody for the service, with the exception, of course, of our borough employees who are making the collections.
Well, I'd like to just, in the interest of keeping it simple, I'd say if it's already still running, let's keep it running until we make a decision one way or the other. Does that sound good with everybody?
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote to stop it.
Right.
While we look at it. So.
Okay, all right.
Darren, can you clarify whether the collections are still being done, or whether, I know the sunset, I think, was October, November?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was a little hard to tell when the sunset was because the contract was signed, I believe, in June or July, but it didn't actually start right away. It started several months later, and I'm not exactly sure which month. I became aware of it, I think, 2 days before the last collection, that it was expiring, but by then a number of people expected it to continue. It was even posted in several places. So we continued with one more pickup. The question is, to continue with another pickup until the committee makes a decision, so we don't stop it and then potentially restart it again.
All right. Well, the committee's supposed to meet tomorrow evening, so I think we're spot on time-wise, so we can drag that into conversation tomorrow.
That would work.
So a quick question, because I'm a little confused. You said it sunsetted a few months ago, but we're still collecting. So what exactly sunset?
So I don't have the agreement in front of me, but there was the agreement basically said 1 year from the start date. The problem was the start date was not the date that the agreement was signed. It wasn't even close. It was several months later that the program actually started. I wasn't involved in that part of it, so I don't know what the delay was, whether it was materials, whether it was staff. I'm not sure why, but I know it didn't start when this contract actually was signed.
So if we're still collecting, like what exactly aren't we doing since it's sunset?
We're doing, the only thing we do is the collection, and we made the collection, but it was only one date that we collected.
So what are we discussing when we talk about renewing the program?
Well, there's been some confusion in the public. I've gotten a number of, obviously the clerk's gotten a lot of emails. I've gotten emails and phone calls, so has DPW, if we're doing it or not, because people don't know whether to put the materials out to the curb or don't put them out to the curb.
And one of the things, Michael, that I think caused some confusion was Ed had put in the scuttlebutt, is that what it's called? The newsletter, thank you to whoever you thanked for the end of this program, but the program was still running because we weren't sure of the start date. So people were like, is the program happening or is it not happening? One collection has happened since then, the January one, and now we're just talking about if for whatever reason this doesn't come to a resolution beyond the first week in February when they do the pickups, we should go ahead and continue that pickup until we make a decision one way or the other.
Well, Mayor, just one point of clarification there. The Director of Public Utilities told me that the program had ended, and that's why it wasn't being collected, which was why I reported in the scuttlebutt that the project had come to a conclusion.
Got you. Thank you, Ed. Okay, anything else on that? All right, final item for discussion was an early voting option for municipal election.
1 second.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So the question I want to pose before the council and I would like a decision on, it doesn't have to be this evening. It is something that you need to look at from a financial standpoint as well, is early voting option for municipal elections. The early voting option, the cost is borne pretty much entirely by the borough. If another municipality does the early voting, then the costs that the county has as far as man hours will be split. Right now, the word I'm getting from the county is it looks like we may be the only one doing it if we so, if the governing body so chooses to forward with early voting. Early voting would be the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here at Borough Hall prior to the election. Voting, I believe, would be from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. And it would allow people to come in and vote. They would also have the drop box that's out in front. They could do that as well. The one thing I just want to bring to everyone's attention is that it's a considerable cost. When I spoke to another municipality, they were looking at, and it was an approximate number because they did not budget enough, so it ended up having to get spread out throughout their budget, but they were looking at about $75,000 approximately. So probably over half of that, or maybe almost half of that was early election costs, but they also have more districts than we do. So theoretically, our cost would be a little less. So the 40,000 that I originally had kind of estimated, which was a conservative estimate for the municipal election, if you so chose to go with an early voting option, we would probably have to look at, we'd end up being in the ballpark around 65,000. That would probably be a safe number to budget. I do have a call into the county. They are preparing a preliminary quote for us. I have yet to receive that though, but I know they are working on it. And they won't give me firm numbers again, because we don't know what other municipalities may or may not be participating in early voting.
And I just want to, in case the public is unaware, when we voted to switch to non-partisan elections and change our form of government, a quirk in the law said you have to have the election in May, which is why we're having this discussion. Again, I stated hopefully we can be moving it to November. to increase participation. So this would probably be a one-time cost, at least one that's not, shared. So.
Your clarifying question, if the elections do move to November, does it move to November 23 or November 24? 25.
Right.
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
It's also, it's my understanding as well, that in order to allow or permit early voting, council would have to adopt an ordinance. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Laura. Right. So as far as that issue is concerned, and particularly for the public, there would be a first reading, there would be a second reading, at which time public would have an opportunity to comment on whether or not early voting should take place.
I know for me, I'd like to, get that preliminary quote from the county before any decisions were made, because that's a substantial number. But we also want as many people voting as possible, so.
Just a clarification question for the borough clerk. Is it the early voting? Is it only those 3 days?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Laura, the borough taxpayers would be responsible for spending that money to have that early voting? Is that am I understanding that correctly?
Correct.
Do we, I'm sorry, go ahead. I cut you off. You sound like you're gonna say something else.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I was, so Laura, you don't have all of the facts and figures put together on what the cost of this election is yet?
I do not. I anticipate having it prior to the next council meeting.
Okay, I think in order to make an educated decision for me personally, I'd like to see what the dollars and cents associated with it would be before making any decision. So I guess going back to comment that I think it was Boris made earlier tonight, that there really isn't a decision, even though it says decision on the agenda.
Right.
I'm sorry, just one other follow-up question. So making sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So with the May vote on May 9th, the borough is responsible for funding that vote, correct? And then we have this other component possibly of early voting.
Well, that election, Jackie. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, the borough pays for all the elections. However, with the primary and the general, those costs are split out against, with the other municipalities. So you're not going to see such, high numbers. But since this is strictly a municipal election and we have to pay for the board workers, we have to pay for the trucks, we have to pay for the machines, we have to pay for the county employees that have to come out here. We have to pay, I believe the board workers, I had that written down somewhere, I believe they're paid at a rate of like $26 an hour. The supervisor is paid around $30 an hour. So those are costs that we're taking on. Having the delivery trucks bring paraphernalia and to deliver it, both to drop it off and to return it. Those are all costs that are now going to be borne solely by the borough and not split out amongst the rest of the municipalities. And while we're on the subject of elections, as far as the petitions go, it will be advertised in the paper on Saturday in the municipal papers. And the petitions will be ready for pickup on Tuesday, starting at 9 a.m. I will also post that on the borough website and on borough social media page tomorrow.
Thank you, Laura. I have a quick question about the information that you put out. So under petitions, the first paragraph says each signature shall be on a separate petition sheet and shall bear the name and address of the petitioner and shall be for no more than one candidate. So does that mean I can only sign a petition for a single candidate?
Correct.
On that one sheet, but if 5 different people come to me and want to run, I can sign those 5 different sheets.
My understanding is everyone can sign once.
Wow, okay. And my second question is the bolded at the bottom of the petition where it says to bring them in, and you're gonna be gracious enough to start checking again to make sure people haven't signed more than one petition.
Yes.
Yikes. Okay.
Council, I mean, yeah, can you verify that for us? Because that doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. I can speak with the county, but my understanding, the interpretation I was given was that the petitions the way they are now, you have the candidate's name up top and everybody can sign down at the bottom. That's not the case with this special election. That's why there are packets made up. So it's one signature per page. So there's full packets. And again, my understanding, and I will verify that the residents can only vote for one, can't make one nomination.
I will try and look for that answer right now and confirm that, but in a nonpartisan election, I'm aware that it is one single petition. So unlike what everybody has been used to here and in other partisan towns with a petition, you could have, let's say, two people on the same petition running for council, and you could have many signatures, and then someone else could sign the petition for mayor. And you cannot sign for more petitions than there are people running for office. So if you have two people running for council and one person running for mayor, you can't have someone, or actually four, I should say, you can't have that person sign 4 petitions for 2 seats on council. That person could only sign 2 petitions. So I'll try and look that up and confirm what Laura's saying in the meeting, because obviously this is important, not just for members of council, but for everybody else that's looking to run.
That would help my sanity, Dan. Thank you.
And I think we could, we should probably discuss it further, obviously, once the packets are released to the public, so the public has time to go through it, because I'd like to hear public comment as well on the petitions and what's contained in them.
And Danny, this is all governed by state statute?
Yes, according to the attorney.
Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
So I don't think we're making a decision tonight on early voting, right? We're gonna be waiting for some numbers. Okay. Then I think we're gonna move on to, move on. Mayor and council comments. Anyone have any comments? Guess you wanna run?
Usually go around there.
Right, where do we start? Which way do we start? Doesn't matter. Diane, you have anything you wanna?
I have mine written down. Can I go second?
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll start at the other end. Go ahead, John.
No comments.
It's a new year, so committees are just starting to meet. My only comment is that I am again co-chair. The code committee is scheduled to meet 19th.
I believe so.
I believe it's the 19th. So I hope to have a report for you after that meeting. And just wanted to congratulate TJ Moss for moving from alternate into a regular member of the Animal Welfare Committee. That's it. Thank you.
Next. Yes, I didn't get a chance to say this at last week's meeting, but I just want to wish everyone a very healthy, happy, and very exciting new year for 2023. I just have a quick update in terms of some of the things we're doing around gender neutral titles for the council members. So instead of using councilwoman or councilman, we're going to use council member to have a gender neutral. I literally have to have it in my mouth.
You do. We need your microphone.
Okay, so we're moving towards a gender neutral titles for council, which is essentially going to be council member. the council is really dedicated towards promoting and supporting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the borough, and also developing and maintaining a safe and innovative workspace. So our move towards getting the gender neutral titles for us provides a bit of equity and people being able to share their abilities and make contributions to the organization. Thank you.
And you have anything?
Just real quick, Mayor, we're going to have a Public Utilities Committee meeting tomorrow evening. I am also working with the architects to establish a hard hat tour for us all to go take a look at the progress at the senior center. We're looking forward to the seniors getting back in their building in the first quarter of this year. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for us all to go over and take a look at the progress along with the contractors and the architects as we move forward to repopulating the senior center. And that's all I've got. Thanks.
All right, and I just want to say I had a great first week being Mayor of Red Bank. I want to let you know that I'm going to be having office hours. So if you have anything you want to talk about, you can make an appointment or just show up. It'll be every Monday from 4 to 6. I look forward to hearing from you. Yeah, that's about it. All right, let's open the floor for, yeah.
Okay, I think I have my answer.
Okay.
Okay, so as the clerk indicated previously, unlike prior elections, the nominating petition will contain just one page per signature. And I recall this from doing some work in the city of Trenton, and they're like small pieces of paper. I don't know how they're going to be here, but I'm reading the statute on the nonpartisan law here. Statute 40:45-9B, which states that each certificate shall contain the name of one candidate and no more. Each signer must not, at the time of signing the certificate, have signed more certificates for candidates for that office than there are places to be filled for the office.
Okay, that makes
So,
sense. Okay.
to me, that means if there are, 5 members of council running or 4 and 1 mayor, obviously one person could sign a petition for candidate A, B, C, and D, and 1 for the mayor.
Okay.
So 6 + 1.
In this case.
It would be similar to signing a nominating petition in a primary or a general election, well, primary, I should say.
Thank you.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Great, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
We're going to open it up now for public questions and comments.
Talk about early voting.
Good evening, Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace. At the last meeting, council person is like what I like. Councilperson Ballard made a remark regarding the fact that it was a conflict of interest if he shared Parks and Rec because his wife was working there. And I was just wondering, Councilperson Trigiano is a volunteer fireman, yet she's the police commissioner. I mean, the fire commissioner. And is that a conflict of interest?
We actually asked the borough attorney that, and he said as long as she's not voting on something that concerns her particular house, she would have to recuse herself. Otherwise, there's no conflict.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just clarify the reason for that. I think Councilman Ballard's position on removing himself for the committee it was in an abundance of caution. I wasn't asked to provide a legal opinion whether or not he could sit on that committee and whether or not be a conflict. But clearly, to the extent that he chose to remove himself, there was no need for me to provide an opinion on that issue. As to Councilwoman Trigiano, I was asked to look into that, and I advised the mayor and members of council that there is a statute that addresses that issue specifically. And it allows a member of council to be a volunteer, a firefighter or a volunteer EMS within the same municipality. However, Councilwoman Trigiano needs to recuse herself. So there's a difference between abstaining from a vote or participating in a conversation and recuse herself. Because there's multiple houses here, I gave the opinion that as to the house that she's a member of, cannot participate in any discussions with regard to that firehouse, and obviously any vote that will come before council. But she's certainly able to have conversations and discussions and votes on the other houses.
Anyone else? Stephen?
Stephen Peck, 135 Branch Avenue. A question about the bylaws and rules of order that were adopted at last meeting. You know, I have many questions, but this one particularly, there were a number of resolutions that were offered tonight, some of them on the agenda, and some of them were added apparently after the agenda was published. My question is, with regard to Rule 1, council agenda for each meeting except for special meetings shall be presented for review to the council president at least 72 hours prior to the meeting. No council agenda except special meetings agendas will be distributed for publication or public notice prior to the approval of said agenda by the council president. So I'm going to assume that everything that was on the agenda was approved by the council president. Is that correct?
It was not. I did see it and Laura presented it to me. I reviewed it and I sent it back to her and said, you know, this is okay to go out.
So that's an approval, no?
Well, yeah, but I didn't approve everything because as you saw, there were some items that were added at the end.
That's my question.
Right.
But
and my question as well. And I'll let the attorney and Laura address that.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. So it's my understanding that with regard to that provision of the bylaws, there have been some issues in the past where agendas went out for publication to the public and certain items were perhaps removed or weren't supposed to be on. So this kind of was presented as a stopgap, if you will, to try and eliminate any inconsistencies with pulling stuff from the agenda. That being said, there were 3 resolutions this evening that were added to the agenda. And that's because, at least as to 2 of them, we literally finalized the terms of the separation agreement this afternoon. And that's the reason why there was a motion to add these resolutions to the agenda. I will tell you this, that, you know, each year, the borough, as well as other municipalities, set their meeting schedule for the year. And the reason for that is because the agenda does not have to be published, and I commend the borough for publishing their agenda prior to the meeting. I have this issue in some other towns where I'm a municipal attorney as well, and it creates some confusion when the agenda is published before there's an actual discussion on it and whether or not items should remain or be removed. So that's what happened here. The 3 resolutions, I was unaware of the fire one, but the 3 resolutions obviously came after the council president gave his okay to the agenda.
So is that an explanation or an excuse? I don't quite understand when you push this through, these bylaws, you either stick with them or you don't. This is one of the problems with how exclusionary and restrictive they are. None of you is going to be able to adhere to this.
Sir, bylaws or no bylaws, sir, anything could be added to the agenda at any time.
Bylaws or no bylaws, so this is, this doesn't.
What I'm telling you, the bylaws don't restrict council from adding to the agenda or removing from the agenda. But there's a process in place to, again, try and eliminate some confusion out to the public with an agenda that may not be accurate at the time it goes out. That doesn't mean it can never be amended. And whether there's bylaws in place or not, the agenda could always be amended. There is one caveat to that, and that is a special meeting under the Open Public Meetings Act and the special meeting law with regard to a 48-hour notice. We are required to publish that agenda. We're required to, and set forth the items to be discussed and whether or not formal action is taken on those items. And we can add to that agenda. But as to a regular meeting, all right, this council at any time can add or remove to the agenda, whether, again, there's bylaws or not.
If I understand what you just said, notwithstanding the bylaws, if the bylaws say that there's a particular protocol for removing an agenda from, removing an item from the agenda or adding an item to the agenda, that the council need not hold to that.
That is correct.
There you go.
I agree with you. We did a horrible job this time out of sticking to those bylaws.
I agree on that.
We agree there, and we will get better. And
Number 12,
oh, go ahead.
motions and resolutions. All resolutions must be endorsed by a committee chair after a majority vote of said committee, or said resolutions must have 3 council members as co-sponsors to be considered at a regular meeting. Well, there's a bunch of, so did we violate it again? Did we violate the bylaws again?
And I can address that as well.
Please.
There have been comments after our reorg meeting about the bylaws and some of the restrictions. That was one of them. The other one was the first one you read. I think all the council members should get the agenda 72 hours so they know what's on there and can respond to what should and shouldn't.
They didn't.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. And this one where you need multiple committee members or chair to vote in favor of putting something on is also going to be looked at. And I don't want to speak to Councilman Jackson, but he wanted to address some of those issues. I suggested to him, since we're missing 2 council members and Councilman Zipridge is not with us, in person, that we hold off and we discuss all of this with all the council. So anyone who has any amendments that they wish to offer can be heard in front of the public and in front of the council, and we can work on these. They're a work in progress. Like I said at the reorg, these were guidelines that can be amended at any time, and apparently there's a will to amend them. So
There's a will certainly in the public. Are you saying there's a will on the council?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, Steve, actually, so President Ballard, Councilmember Morandi and I had been speaking about those 2 specific rules in the bylaws that you've called out, because we did hear the discussion that happened at the last meeting, at the reorganization meeting. So we went back, we took another look at the document and saw where we could optimize it. It was actually supposed to be a part of the discussion this evening. We had been going back and forth. Unfortunately, with Councilmember Morandi's last minute cancellation, I wanted her to be here as part of that discussion as well as the entire council. So the plan is to put it on the agenda for the 25th. But we will address those 2 specific rules that you've called out.
If the agenda is published in whatever timeline you decide to publish it, and I know that's different from getting the agenda to the committees and whatever, the public will come and tell you also what they're thinking.
And we look forward to it. But as Councilmember Ballard said, there is added consideration to notifying not just the president, but the entire council in an ample time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw Freddie get up first.
He's the mayor.
All right, go ahead, Ben.
Ben Farr, 16 Locust Avenue. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the reorg meeting. And as you may recall, I stood up and raised my hand, asked questions, was recognized, and I borough attorney was kind enough to go through with me, you know, the law around this later, and I appreciate his time, but regardless, and I'm certainly not going to argue the law with him because I'm not an attorney, but I think that if you're going to do anything other than a ceremonial thing, you know, I agree to be mayor, I agree to be council. I think you should allow public comment. I mean, there were some financial things on the agenda. There was some other odds and ends. Of course, there was this policy that I tried reading and I haven't got my head around it yet. And I was going to ask a question about that, you know, the interactions. You know, going forward, who knows who'll be on the council next time, but I think unless the meeting is just ceremonial, I think you should allow public input. You know, and we've had contradictions on this here in Red Bank. You know, I've been other towns where they allow it or don't allow it. Red Bank, we allowed it the previous year, and years before that, we didn't have public comment at public meetings. But I think, you know, that's going forward. I would prefer that we just, if you're going to just do a ceremony meeting, it's a ceremonial, no, you know, like meaningful business and appointments and things, because people may want to have an opinion. The other thing on the law that you're talking about there, the process, I'm not quite sure what it's called that you were talking about earlier. You know, I certainly hope it's not being done to stifle anyone. I mean, I want to hear what all of you have to say all the time. And, you know, you're elected, you're in a special role here. We've all elected you. And I want to hear what the council members think about things. You know, and I agree or don't agree, and you know, I learn things from you, and I want to hear it. I want to hear it all unfiltered. So whatever changes you're making in this process, I hope it, you know, you guys will continue with unfiltered deliberations. We're a small town, and that's one of the luxuries of being a small town. Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank you.
may I make some additional comments to that?
Sure.
So, Mr. Forrest, the bylaws were not intended to stifle any one person. They're actually intended to promote collaboration and dialogue, because this body is made up of 6 voices, not just one. And it's important to ensure the opportunity for each of those 6 voices to be heard. Some voices are louder, some voices are softer, but each one deserves to be heard, and that's what the bylaws were intended to do.
It sounds like it sounds good. I haven't quite gotten my head around them yet. I'll reread them. I don't think that they're on the table here, but thank you very much for that.
All right, Freddie.
Good afternoon, Mr. Council. Couple of things I just want to say. I noticed last year, I was sitting in the back and something came up. I've been going to council meeting ever since the councilman was down there, down the street, 32 Mama Street upstairs, Mike Unknown. Since I've been going to councilments, I've been going to Asbury, Long Branch, Landcross, Middletown, Tinton Falls, Coast Neck council meeting. And I have never heard the councilmen bring a church up at a council meeting, as much as Red Bank bring Pilgrim Church up. I got nothing against Pilgrim, got nothing against nobody. But this is a council meeting. You have councilmen meeting behind closed doors at a church, talking about Red Bank is corruption. If you know Red Bank corruption, if you know the solution, you got to be part of the solution. We don't need that. Churches need to stay in their places. The nonprofit organization. If they're going to get involved with politicians, they need to pay taxes. So I look at it. The other thing is, me and that young man sitting in the corner back there, been on the borough 16 years. He got terminated, taking care of his mother. Mother was almost 90-some years old. He got terminated 16 years. Turned around, 4 months later, they hired 2 guys. What he got terminated for no CDL license. They put him down before the sunset. Me and that young man went to Pilgrim Baptist Church, speak to the minister. What did the minister do? Nothing. His mother passed away. God bless her dead. What she told you before she passed away? Reverend Porter ain't no good. Here we is in a town, and we interfering with the churches and whatnot. There's a lot of churches on the west side do a lot for the community. Half of y'all councilors don't go there until you get ready to run for election. You run at the Pilgrim. I know some of these churches I go to, I don't see none of y'all. I had a couple of guys ran for council a couple of years ago. They went to the church, the minister told them, you can't come here with that politician. They respect that. You got that, Billy. When you went to the church, she told you that. And that's what we need. When we get churches start interfering, which I've been all around, I haven't seen it yet. We don't need that here. And I hate to say this, I'm not afraid of nothing, okay? But we don't need, the board, I think he's the number one minister on the west side. We don't need that. It's other ministers need the respect that he gets to. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Nancy.
Nancy Blackwood, 34 Chestnut Street. I just wanted to add, to provide some information regarding the contract for plastic film recycling. I mean, I know it's going to come up in committee, but I think everybody should know the resolution to start the program was dated June 23rd, 2021. It was supposed to be a one-year program. So theoretically, it was supposed to start in July 2021 and end in June 2022. But because of supply issues and it did not start until November. And therefore it terminated in October. So since October, we have, the borough has been collecting plastic film since that time. So I just want to give you that parameter so you have that information when you make your decision whether or not to continue the program. And I do know that since then, since October, there have been additional people who have joined into the program. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
There is, Mayor.
Okay.
Boris Kaufman, you have the floor if you want to unmute.
Thank you. Boris Kaufman, 28 Riverside Avenue. Wanted to follow up on the May election process. I think Laura mentioned that about the drop boxes. I wasn't clear if that's contingent on having early elections or we will have drop boxes available regardless.
I've been speaking with the county on, on a lot of subjects. That one I will get clarified. I believe it should be, but let me get confirmation of that.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
That's it. Anyone else? All right. I have a motion to close the public comments.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
This motion adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
All right.